You sons of bitches are going to college.
Alrighty, boys, as we can already see from the fucking title, we're doing fantasy football. Class is going to be in session. This is something, I don't know if the video itself has been highly requested, but every year around, like, fantasy football season, I'll start, like, you know, talking about fantasy on, like, social media or just, like, in general with friends, and then everybody was always just like, hey, you should teach me fantasy football. I'm like, I'd love to, but you got to be around for, like, a whole season or, like, kind of a long conversation because it's kind of complicated. And instead of ever having to have that fucking conversation again, I'm just going to do, I think it's going to be like a series of a few videos. It's going to go over all the dumb bullshit that goes into fantasy football and all that noise. So, yeah, it should be dope. This is going to be a lot of fun. I've been dreaming up like little ideas and stuff all day. So, let's get into it. This is 3 Beers Deep. I'm your Uncle Chaz, and I'll see you guys in there. Peace.
All right, everyone, shut up. Shut up. Shut up. Shut your mouths. Shut up. Shut your mouths. Shut up. Shut up. Shut up. Go ahead and start to shut up now.
Alrighty, guys, and welcome to class, I guess. If I gotta take fucking online classes this semester, so do all of you if you want to learn fantasy football. So here we are at 3 Beers Deep University, 3BDU. Sounds like a disease. Fuck it. 3 Beers Deep University. This is FF 1101, otherwise known as Fantasy Football 1101, and I'm your professor, Haz Winters, and I'll be leading you through this course this semester.
Ha! Gay!
Chang, shut the fuck up. Anyways, so I guess I actually had to type out a whole fucking lesson plan for this shit too, if you can believe it. Like, I actually had to prepare for this. I couldn't just wing it like I usually do. So it actually might turn out well this time. I guess just a good forward on fantasy football is every league is different. Every app is different that does the game. So this isn't going to be like a one size fits all, but this is going to get you like the at least like the good foundation to be able to join a league, at least know what you're doing. And then, I mean, if you succeed in your first like year, congratulations. If you don't take it to heart. I haven't had a lot of good seasons. Some bad drafts, some bad luck, some stuff like that. So, I mean,
Man, you are one pathetic loser.
so, and even like, you know, beyond like, you know, just apps and everything, you just realize like a lot of fantasy football leagues will have like, you know, almost like house rules, almost like how like beer pong or was it Ring of Fire or even like Monopoly, how like a lot of them have like house rules that maybe or may not, like, you know, played in like the official rules. Fantasy football can be a lot like that as well. So certain leagues might just, if they've been around long enough, especially with the same people, will have, you know, rules that maybe like most leagues don't. So again, like this is going to be more or less me teaching you guys just like the basics based on the kind of league I play in, which is like the most standard kind of league, which is we'll get into. So I think today what I would like to get into is the types of leagues that there are. The league we're going to be talking about again is going to be called a 10-team standard league. And then we're going to, like, you know, we're going to talk a little bit about you know, what it's going to consist of as far as who's on the team, what a team's like made up of. And then over the course of the actual series of videos, we'll get into like, you know, what a draft is and what goes into drafting a team, tips and tricks there. We'll talk about like navigating the waiver wire in your fantasy league and like what to do kind of like throughout the season, as like, because every season like you're gonna run into injuries, you're gonna run into suspensions, maybe stuff like that. Maybe like, you know, some of the guys that you thought were going to be good end up don't getting or being good. So, you know, you got to know how to like navigate the season as far as like, you know, your trades, who to drop, who to pick up, what a waiver pick is and stuff like that. So we'll get into that. And then as far as today, the other thing I'd like to do is just before we really get into any rules, how anything works, I just want to go into like, you know, kind of like the different types of leagues are the main ones. What's going to go in, and then the rules that have to do with our league. And I say our because you guys are watching this with me, so by the end of it, like, my fantasy football team is going to be your fantasy football team. Obviously, it's too late in the year to start one, but maybe we find a mock draft or something so we can at least see, like, you know, what we'd be doing. And then if I end up having to do any moves in my own personal fantasy football league while I'm making these videos, I'll probably try to record that if I'm looking rough, or it's like, you know, 10:30 in the morning, right when I'm waking up. Yeah, that's right. I wake up 10:30 in the morning. My life is amazing.
Bitch.
I'll try to record me. I'll make sure to do it on like my actual computer and not my phone, so you guys can kind of see what goes into, you know, maybe picking up and dropping players as we get to that video and stuff. But without further ado, we're going to start getting into, I guess, what today's video is going to be, which is just different types of leagues, just big overview, and then just scoring, just so you can understand, like, you know, where your numbers are coming from before we start talking about who's going to get you those numbers and how to get those guys and all that noise. So, without further ado, we're going to start with the types of leagues. I hope everybody's taking their notes. Don't ask me for a pencil or a pen. I don't have any. Attendance is 100% part of your grade. I don't believe in tests and quizzes. This is a senior class, so this is an easy A. If you fail Professor Winters' class, you're probably a fucking idiot, because he's a fucking idiot teaching it. So keep that in mind. We are going to start with the types of leagues. And so when we get to the types of leagues, you can have, there's leagues that only have like 8 people in them, and so everything that goes on in that league is going to be very much different than, I mean, there's leagues that go up to, you know, 12, 14, 16 people. Those 16 team leagues are very, very big. Usually the standards anywhere between 8 to 12 is what most leagues run. My league that I'm playing in this year, actually the past, what was my 4th year in the league? I have not done well either. Because I'm only a few years into it, so a couple bad seasons, and last season was a fucking bullshit.
We're gonna get there. Whoa, just take it easy, man.
But yeah, so I'm in a 10-team standard league. Another very popular league would be it's called PPR. PPR stands for points per reception. And now there's 2 types of PPR. There is half PPR, and then there's full PPR. So what full PPR is every time one of your players catches a ball, he gets 1 point. And half PPR, if you guys really need me to spell this out for you, every time your receiver or running back, anytime anybody in your team catches a ball, it's a half a point. And then in my league, standard, it's 0 points per reception. So just that's like a big difference between as far as like the big 3 leagues would be standard, PPR, and half PPR. The other leagues are one that's called Dynasty. And so Dynasty means like if you pick somebody in your fantasy draft, like they're yours, and then for every year after that. So next season you're gonna have the exact same team unless you start starting and dropping and doing a whole bunch of stuff in your off season. Standard, PPR, and half PPR. At least if you're just playing normally, most of the time your team will just reset every season. You'll just start with a fresh team, fresh draft, nobody from last year. Dynasty is you're keeping the same team year after year, probably switching out, you know, a guy here, a guy there, but overall, like you're thinking like, you know, years in advance for a Dynasty league. A keeper league is similar to a Dynasty, so maybe like, you know, you'll have like, maybe you get to keep 3 players from your team from the previous year, and then you draft like the rest of your team. So that's kind of like, you know, kind of like a halfway between like what I do and then what a Dynasty league would do. And then there's if you're really an animal, you can do what one of my best friends does, the guy that taught me fantasy football, and he's in a touchdown only league, and that looks like the most stressful fucking thing I've ever seen in my entire life. It's no yards don't count. Like we'll get into the scoring and stuff, but just know that a touchdown only league means you only get points for touchdowns and kicks, which changes the entire way you draft in that league. That league is stupid. Alrighty. I don't know where I should put half this shit. If you ever see me like looking off camera, it's because again I had to like type up a fucking lesson plan to remember all this shit. Like I'm an actual goddamn teacher.
Shut up, bitch!
Alright, so now we gotta get into what a team consists of. And so I just want to make sure, at least, so this year is a little different because of COVID and everything. Most leagues have added a couple extra spots on their teams on their bench in case players get COVID unexpectedly, because like you're gonna need somebody to obviously play for them if they can't play. And so your team has your starters and it has your bench. So as you're drafting and picking up players, you realize like some of them obviously aren't going to be as good as some of the others. But the importance of having a bench and a good bench is sometimes two players are similar, but maybe one has a better matchup. Maybe one of your players gets injured. It's nice to have a good backup just chilling on your bench, because your starters all play. Your bench doesn't contribute to your points for the week. It doesn't matter how many points your bench gets. It doesn't contribute to your score that for the entire week. Only your starters combined totals do. So a team is typically going to consist of something like this. Again, it's different in every league. There's some leagues that are just one quarterback, one tight end. The rest is just receivers and kickers, and just said fuck defenses and fuck kickers. That's not my league again. So the way we're running ours is I have one quarterback starting. I have two wide receivers starting. I have two running backs starting. I have one starting tight end. And then there's something called a flex. Now, what your flex is you can play any wide receiver or running back or tight end at that flex spot. And so that typically is when you start thinking about matchups and stuff like that. That's called your flex. Because, I mean, you could have a running back that typically does very well, but that running back could be playing a good defense that week. But then you have another wide receiver on your bench. He might not have as many guaranteed points as a running back would, obviously, because he has to get the ball thrown to him. But maybe he's versing a worse matchup. And so it'd be nice to, maybe play, a third receiver that week versus a third running back. Or maybe you only have two good running backs, but you have four good wide receivers. So instead of placing another shitty running back or a shitty running back in that flex spot, you just take one of your four good receivers and plug them in for more yards. So it's kind of, your flex honestly can make or break your week a lot. And then after the flex, you have one starting kicker, and then you have one starting defense. And the defense is just all the players on the defense. There's some leagues called IDP, which would be called a independent defensive player that people like, but that's not really me. So that's kind of like the overview, I guess you could say, of a lot of, I guess, like, that's the very, very bare bones of fantasy football. It's just, that's what your team's going to consist of. Your bench can have as many quarterbacks, wide receivers, running backs, or kickers as you want, up to, I think ours is 8 this year. So if you want 3 wide receivers, 2 kickers, another quarterback, another tight end, and I don't know, and another defense, it's a terrible bench to have. I wouldn't recommend it, but you can do that. It's just any combination of any position, it can go on your bench. It doesn't matter. So I'll probably cut this video and just make the next video when we get into the scoring and everything, so I'm not killing you guys with like 30-minute videos on fucking fantasy football. So let's cut back to the big camera, get the fuck out of here, and we'll get on to the next one. Woo! Alrighty, boys. So that's going to be episode number 1. Just bare bones fantasy football. Just easy peasy, lemon squeezy. Just, here's what we're covering. This was syllabus week. This was syllabus week. So if you want to come back next week for another lesson, that's great. I'm probably gonna try to put out one of these a day, because it takes a little less for me to have to do the research and content creation and all that. Because actually, no, editing these are going to be a bitch. But I can give a shit. So yeah, I'll see you guys in the next video. I'm gonna be exactly like this. I'll see you guys in a sec. My name's Uncle Chaz. This is All 3 Beers Deep. You guys don't have too much fun without me. I'll see you soon. Peace.